Jackson died early this morning at the age of 84.
Roseanne joining us live again from Rainbow Push this morning to explain some more. Roseanne.
That's right. We are out in front of Rainbow Push as people wake to the news of the loss of this civil rights icon. His family releasing a statement early this morning that we'd like to share with you. It said, "It is with profound sadness that we announce the passing of civil rights leader and founder of the Rainbow Push Coalition, the Honorable Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson Sr. He died peacefully Tuesday morning surrounded by his family. His unwavering commitment to justice, equality, and human rights helped shape a global movement for freedom and dignity. Our father was a servant leader not only to our family, but to the oppressed, the voiceless, and the overlooked around the world." Of course, Reverend Jackson had been diagnosed with Parkinson's back in 2017, and later it was determined to be an actual rare brain condition, something called supranuclear palsy. And he suffered from that. He was in the hospital as recently as November. He had actually stayed for quite a while, but he had made it home for Christmas. And in January, I think that was the first time that he missed the Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast, another sign of his declining health. Once again, the Reverend Jesse Jackson lost at 84 today, and we will have lots of reaction as the day proceeds, as people get this news of this terrible loss. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, it's a difficult morning, Roseanne. Thank you for that report. As people wake up to this news of Reverend Jackson's death, people are sharing their thoughts about him, his legacy, all the work he did.
Extensive legacy, yeah. Saquon is live at St. Sabina, which has been a focal point for the fight for equality in Chicago. Say, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you. Yeah, I mean, Reverend Jackson spent quite a lot of time here at St. Sabina. He has been seen speaking out, obviously providing some extra support for members of this church, but this neighborhood as well. Also, we know this church is led by Father Michael Pfleger, and he and Reverend Jackson are very close friends. They've worked together for many decades on social justice efforts, including, calling for an end to the violence, but also we know that they have really been advocates when it comes to peace. That's a big focal point this morning. That's what Father Pfleger and I were talking about in there. Actually, I want to show you a little part of our conversation that we just had inside. Take a listen.
Well, I think many times they saw him so strong and so bold and so courageous, which he always was, and always so positive. But, I think that what I was, in my friendship, I was able to see the Reverend Jackson that hurt so about the conditions of people. Hurt so when he saw the children and what was their future going to be like, and the injustices. When I first came to Sabina's back in '75, Reverend Jackson was one of the first to reach out and take me under his wings, really, and befriend me and mentor me and show me what it was like to fight. I was in boardrooms when he negotiated for justice and diversity. We marched together on Michigan Avenue about the violence. He stood with me on the Dan Ryan when we shut it down. We went to jail together, fighting Chuck's gun shop in Riverdale. I mean, I could just think time after time after time. But I think most importantly, I remember the friend, how genuine he was, and what a caring person he was. That he's so deeply cared about humanity and about people in general. And he really believed in the Rainbow Coalition. He really believed that black, white, and brown should come together and unite for issues of justice and peace and to care about each other. And he lived it, he spoke it, he fought for it. And I think the other thing I would say about him is his consistency. A lot of people out there for a minute, fighting for a minute, screaming for a minute. But he was a long-distance runner. His whole life he spent doing this, and I just thank him. I think America should thank him for what he did. We're a better country because of him. I think he would want us to say, get in the good fight, keep fighting, keep marching, keep shouting, keep yelling, keep pushing. Justice doesn't just happen. Justice has to be created. And if we keep fighting and pushing, will have it. He always believed, as did Dr. King, his mentor, all the things we fight for, they're all possible. You know, it's not like, oh, we can't have that. It's not going to change. No, it's all possible.
So Father Flagler touched on that a little bit in there, but he did talk to me about the fact that there aren't many Reverend Jacksons around. And as he mentioned in that clip that you just heard, you know, he was saying the next leaders, the next generation, the next civil rights leaders will need to kind of fight the fight. You know, that's kind of the one way that he mentioned in terms of honoring Reverend Jackson and kind of remembering him is to continue fighting that fight. I did ask him about any sort of plans in place to remember him or honor him. He did say, you know, obviously this is very recent right now. There's not much planned at this moment. He did also tell me last night that he was with Reverend Jackson and his family praying together. So as he obviously responds to all of these calls and texts and all the things, we will, of course, be on the lookout for any sort of remembrance events as well. But, of course, very tough day for a lot of people just everywhere around the globe, but specifically here too at St. Sabina, where he has had a huge impact on the members here. Guys.
Absolutely. Saquon outside St. Sabina on the south side. Thank you very much for that report. We are also hearing from the daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend Bernice King. She says Jesse Jackson devoted his life to lifting people out of poverty. She says her family shares a long and meaningful history with him, and we should honor his legacy by uplifting the vulnerable. Reverend Jackson's impact on the fight for civil rights will be his legacy, a major part of it. He stood right alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Our Don Hasbrook has more on his life.
Put your hands together for our leader, the Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson.
He was a civil rights leader, a politician, and community activist. Jesse Louis Jackson was born October 8, 1941 in Greenville, South Carolina. He met Jacqueline Lavinia Brown, and they were married in 1962. Together, they had 5 children. It was in a time of civil unrest and the height of the civil rights movement.
Will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood? I have a dream.
He went to work for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and was with King when he was assassinated in 1968. It was after Dr. King's death that Jackson took the reins and became known as one of the premier leaders of the civil rights movement. In 1971, he founded a group that would later be called People United to Serve Humanity, or Operation Push. In 1984, Jesse Jackson ran for the 1984 Democratic presidential nomination, but lost to Walter Mondale. He tried again in 1988 and landed in second place in the Democratic primaries, falling to then Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis. Jackson transitioned his activism from protest to politics. It was at about the same time that he formed a group he named the National Rainbow Coalition, because it was made up of people from all races and ethnic backgrounds.
That is the unfinished business that I'm about, fighting for equal opportunity for all Americans and peace in the world.
Congratulations.
During his lifetime, Reverend Jackson collected more than 35 honorary degrees and was recognized over and over for his efforts to help those less fortunate. In 2017, Reverend Jackson was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, but he still kept a public face. In September 2021, he and his wife were hospitalized with COVID. He had been vaccinated, she had not. It affected his Parkinson's and his ability to walk and talk, and he had to undergo intensive therapy. But before long, he was back in the public eye doing what he did best, protesting injustice and bringing attention to issues for the less fortunate. Jackson once said, "Never look down on anybody unless you are helping him up." It was a mantra he lived by, one he's inspired others to continue as he leaves a significant legacy behind that helped pave the way for the modern civil rights movement we all know today. In August of 2024, the giant in the civil rights movement was honored at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago.
His contributions are innumerable. His impact and his work are in both places and ways that many people don't know. You know, I say it this way: his fingerprints are places where you might not have seen his footprints. His hands were all over so many things. Many people remember the auto bailout. Reverend Jackson was behind that. McDonald's expanding in African American communities with tons of African American owners and board seats. That's Reverend Jackson. And so many other things around the world. So glad that the DNC paused to give him his flowers that he deserves so much.
And in October of 2024, the city of Chicago that he has called home since 1966 gave him the key to the city.
And what a fitting way to wish Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson a very happy birthday, giving him a key to the city he is truly considered to be his home. I think it is entirely appropriate to give great men and great women flowers while they can still smell them.
Use love to motivate you and obligate you to serve the human family. Young America, dream!
And one of the members of the Jackson family is speaking right outside the Jackson family home, right here in Chicago. Let's take a listen.
Fortunate, so.
And you said you guys are just keeping the house busy, right? Or
Right.
The family's not home right now.
Right, yeah.
What do you want others to know about who he was?
He was an amazing man, a big, powerful spirit, It's like everything he did, he put his all into it, whether it be whatever hot links he wanted. He had a certain type, the way he carried himself to the neighborhood, his firm handshakes, always being accessible with a smile to everybody in the neighborhood. And people would come by, and if they knew he lived here, he would always be accessible to pictures or whatever they wanted to do, and a kind word. For me, advice. He was a guy who knew a little bit about everything, and a lot about a lot of things, where he would just give advice as if you were his own son, or one of his family members, if you were ever blessed to be in his presence.
How do you think the community, the nation, the rest of the world should carry out his legacy and continue the mission that he was on for 84 years?
Yeah. If we all did what he stood for, America would be a better place, where we look out for each other. Not just he did focus on the less fortunate, but he understood person. He understood people are people. It didn't matter what color you were. It didn't matter what hue. It didn't matter what your philosophies were or your religion. That rainbow push foundation of his is just like, it's all encompassing. So it didn't matter. He smiled and walked with all of our neighbors, no matter what color they were. And it's just an open arms, open heart to like everybody. But then a straight shooter. So no lies. And I think our world and America could really help from that now if we took that on.
What's your first and last name?
Oliver Speller, Oliver, Oliver, and it's Speller, S-P as in Paul, E-L-L-E-R.
Thank you, Mr. Speller.
No, thank you guys. Yeah,
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right.
What an honor to be a...
All right, we do have a crew right outside the Jackson home in the Hyde Park neighborhood, as we heard from a friend of the family right there, and we will continue to follow all the breaking developments as we get a lot of reflections and interviews this morning here on the news, reflecting on the life and legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, we have more weather next, but first, here's your 7-day forecast.
What are you girls doing?
We're doing all the heating, plumbing, and electric around here.
All right, I know you girls know stuff, but let's leave it to our trusted local experts. Let's call Four Seasons.
It's about time we figured it out.
Whether it's heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, air duct cleaning, or generators, you can always trust Four Seasons.
For all the right reasons, call 866-4 Seasons.
Welcome back. 8:16. Caitlin Cody joins us with a look at our weather. And Caitlin, I see that the sun, it seems like it's trying to just peek through those clouds.
Eek. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's trying to peek through these clouds. Now, here's the thing. Yesterday, it was phenomenal. Okay, we had a record high. We were in the mid-60s. Today, it is going to be slightly cooler, and we have more clouds to deal with, but it's still going to be mild for this time of year. Temperatures are going to be pushing to the mid and upper 50s, so about 10 degrees cooler than we were yesterday. But again, the 50s, that's still nice. Talking about the sky cover, though, let's start there. Satellite radar showing the clouds have been building this morning, and unfortunately, today we are going to be fighting with those clouds throughout the entire day. Now, talk about the temperature. We are already in the 40s. In Chicago, it's 42 degrees at O'Hare. The lakefront, currently 44, as well as at Midway. 45 in Gary, 36 in Kankakee, 38 from Morris to LaSalle. Let's take a look at our futurecast and how quickly these temperatures climb into the 50s. 4:15, we're at 57 degrees at O'Hare. Temperatures could be tagging 60 southwest, but notice by this evening, the chance for rain is creeping back into our forecast. And actually overnight tonight, we could have a few rumbles of thunder. So light scattered rain this evening, tonight. A thunderstorm not out of the question, but we don't expect severe storms. 2 a.m. temperatures are still in the upper 40s and low 50s. And then, as we work our way into your Wednesday, we've got more sunshine and temperatures soaring back into the 60s. But it is going to be a very windy day on Wednesday. We could see winds gusting to 35 or 40 miles per hour. So fire hazard on Wednesday. Don't be burning anything outside, which, by the way, yesterday I did smell somebody having a fire outdoors, and it smelled so good. Don't do it on Wednesday. We have more wet weather as we end the week, too. The potential for rain and thunderstorms is going to be returning on Thursday. You can see 9:15, starting to see some wet weather. And our 7-day forecast shows those temperatures are going to be decreasing as we wrap up the week and head into the weekend, too. So we'll have about 43 Friday, this weekend in the 30s, and that's going to continue into the beginning of next week. Anthony.
Okay, Caitlin, thank you very much. Fox Chicago this week is hosting debates as we approach the March primary. Last night, we hosted the Democratic candidates for Senate. Got some of their feelings about raising the federal minimum wage.
Why do we still have so many people who are working 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet? $15 an hour that we were able to get done here in Illinois. First big bill that Governor Pritzker and I got signed into law is $31,200 a year. That's not enough for an individual. It's not enough for their children. They have no money left over to spend in those small businesses. We need to do more to raise wages to a livable wage.
$7.25 is poverty wages at this point. I'm actually a co-sponsor of Bernie Sanders' bill, the Raise the Wage Act, which goes to $17, which a lot of my House colleagues have supported. And, you know, many states are kind of now in that range. I, too, am concerned as a former small business person. I signed the front of the check and the back of the check. And I think that a $25 hour minimum wage could really harm small businesses and curtail hiring at those businesses.
I'm saying $17 an hour because also we have to be realistic and look at what we can actually get passed, you know, in the House and the Senate. That's part of the bottom line, too. We need 218 votes in the House, 60 votes in the Senate. But even with the $17 an hour, I would look at giving tax credits to small businesses that do participate.
Longtime Illinois Senator Dick Durbin is retiring, so that opened the door to next month's primary for perhaps one of those candidates to replace him. And join us tonight at 6 for another debate here on Fox Chicago. We will hear from current Cook County Board President Toni Preckwinkle and her challenger, Alderman Brendan Riley.
There's a nationwide search for a Blue Island father. Dan Davis has not been seen since November. He was last seen near Bourbon Street in Blue Island on November 26. Multiple city and state agencies have assisted with search efforts, His daughter is now organizing a nationwide Find Dan Day this weekend where people from anywhere in the country can help search either online by sharing his flyer or on foot.
So there's going to be some zone maps released like what we've done in the past so people can choose their section, stick to that area for the day and do some door-to-door. They can hand out flyers. There's a bunch of different ideas for that. And then people who want to help remotely, they can make posts about my dad. They can share stuff on social media. They can call very local hospitals and news stations and stuff like that because, again, truly he could be anywhere. Although we found no clues as to like any preemptive like a plan to leave or anything written down or anything like that. I mean, my dad would never, ever, ever do this to his job. He wouldn't do it to me, especially around the holidays.
If you'd like to assist in the search, head to foxchicago.com. We'll have all the details there. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, 824 on your Tuesday morning. Earlier this morning, we spoke with Reverend Michael Neighbors with Second Baptist Church of Evanston regarding the passing of Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, and he talked about his legacy that Reverend Jackson leaves behind. Here's just a look at our conversation.
I was very, very young when Dr. King was assassinated, but one of my first memories is of Reverend Jackson, who was right there on the balcony of the Lorraine Hotel when that happened. And of course, after he was such a model for those who were entering into ministry a generation later, and his model was in so many ways as a charismatic orator. He gave new life to the words, "I am somebody." He motivated an entire generation and was able to merge not only the African-American Christian faith with the current contemporary people of his day, but he was also able to do so in a way that was just endearing. He was able to put together the power and the majesty of the black movement of the 1960s going into the 1970s like nobody has been able to do. He is going to be missed greatly, but the legacy that he leaves behind, I promise you that legacy has gone to millions and millions of African American people and also those in the United States. He's made our country a better place.
And stick with us all morning as we follow this breaking story. Saquon is going to join us in the next half hour. She has gotten some reaction from Father Michael Pfleger down at St. Sabina's this morning. You can also follow everything we are doing on our website, fox32chicago.com and Fox Local. All right, we're going to switch gears just for a moment here and talk about Thomas Pritzker. He's the cousin of Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. He's going to be resigning as executive chair of Hyatt Hotels, and that decision comes after an unearthed connection to Jeffrey Epstein. This was just revealed. The newly released files show that these two exchanged at least 20 emails, even after Epstein's plea deal on sex crime charges. Thomas Pritzker, I should point out, has not been accused of any wrongdoing himself. He has not been named in any investigations.
A consumer advocacy group calls a spike in NIPSCO utility bill costs an affordability crisis 15 years in the making. The Citizens Action Coalition says what customers are paying right now is a direct result of not only the policies from Indiana state lawmakers, but the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. They pointed to 3 bills that became law over the past 15 years. All of them essentially made it legal for companies like NIPSCO to get reimbursed for billions of dollars for their infrastructure projects. And they got that money from the consumers.
The consumer is sort of an afterthought. It's more important to create these jobs and grow that tax base, because then everything will trickle down and take care of itself, when all we've seen happen is utility bills going up and up and up and with no end in sight. So again, it's just time to rebalance that scale. Rebalance where the risk and the costs of this stuff goes, and take a deeper dive into the benefit analysis, if you will, of these extraordinary investments, because we're taking the food off people's kitchen tables.
The Citizens Action Coalition says state lawmakers have come to them asking for advice on what to do. They say anytime they're in public, their constituents continue to ask them when they will bring them financial relief for their high NIPSCO bills. Caitlin.
All right, this morning we have mostly cloudy skies. Those are sticking with us today. It's going to be a touch gusty, temperatures in the 50s, but tomorrow sunshine in the 60s. Then we have thunderstorms possible. Even tonight we could hear a rumble of thunder. I'll break down your full forecast coming up.
And find an agent at amfam.com.
All right, one of the most important members of the American civil rights movement has passed away. Reverend Jesse Jackson died early this morning at the age of 84. He worked with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to help make sure everyone is treated equally here in America. He later ran for president 2 times. He was seeking the Democratic presidential nomination in 1984. Surprised a lot of folks, finishing 3rd, and once again when he was the runner-up in 1988, losing to Michael Dukakis that year.
Another headline this morning, police are searching for the person who shot a teen in the foot in the Loop. There's not a lot of details on what actually happened, but police only say a 14-year-old boy was standing outside East Washington last night before 9, and someone shot at him. The boy is hospitalized in fair condition.
All right, as news spreads about the passing of Reverend Jackson, people are sharing their thoughts about him and his legacy.
Saquon is live at St. Sabina Church, where that's been a focal point in the fight for equality in Chicago. I know you talked to Father Pfleger, and you're going to share more. Good morning.
Yeah. Hey, good morning to you guys. Yeah, I mean, you think about St. Sabina and the obviously the wonderful things that have happened out of here. We think about Reverend Jackson. He spent a lot of time here, whether he was, leading peace walks around the neighborhood or using his voice to provide extra support for members of this community in particular. Now, oftentimes he would, team up with Father Michael Pfleger. The two have been allies. They've been very close friends for decades now, working together to lead many social justice efforts. Both have spent a large chunk of time together fighting for, of course, violence prevention and racial equality. Now, as you mentioned, Gabby, I spoke with Father Pfleger this morning and asked what Reverend Jackson thought about the current state of the world. Here's what he said.
Well, I think he was saddened by what we're seeing in this America right now, and I think he would also be angry what's going on. But I think most importantly, he would be engaged. Reverend Jackson was one that was made it very clear to everybody. This is not the time to roll over. This is not time to be silent, and this is not time to be overwhelmed. This is the time to fight, to resist, to be active, to speak up, to speak out, to expose every bit of this evil that's going on. There's more people of good in this country than there is those that are creating and orchestrating and pushing this evil. And I think Reverend Jackson showed us whenever we face evil, whenever we see evil, you fight it. You don't run from it. You don't run away from it. And you don't throw up your hands and give up. You fight. And I think Reverend Jackson would be continuing to do that. And if we really want to honor Reverend Jackson, that's what we got to do. If we really want to remember him, let's not say he was a great man, did a great life. No. If you honor him, then be like him. Do what he did. Fight.
Yeah, Father Pfleger told me that he is very grateful that Reverend Jackson kind of took him under his wing. He talked about how they have become really great friends over the years. They've marched together. They've protested together. They've been arrested together. And he also told me that he went to go visit Reverend Jackson and his family last night. They prayed together. And guys, I'll leave you with this. He said a pretty powerful quote to me that I won't forget here. He says, the best way to remember and honor Reverend Jackson is by continuing to fight that fight, continuing to fight for social justice, adding that justice doesn't just happen, justice has to be created. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you for that. Good to hear from Michael Pfleger this morning. Appreciate that report from the South Side, And obviously here during a couple-hour show, it's going to be impossible to encapsulate everything that this man accomplished during his lifetime. In addition to leading Rainbow Push, to working side by side with Dr. King, during the civil rights movement, he actually served as a diplomat of sorts and a negotiator. He helped secure the release of a naval pilot who was shot down over Syria back in 1984. He was a shadow senator for Washington, D.C. in 1991. He was trying to get statehood for Washington, D.C. Jackson also worked to help get 3 soldiers in Yugoslavia freed. They were being held hostage there back in 1999, to the point where President Bill Clinton gave him the Presidential Medal of Freedom for those accomplishments as well.
So
we
much.
Yeah, exactly.
And it gives me chills, hearing some of these conversations we're having with folks. Switching gears, today marks the start of the Year of the Horse for the Lunar New Year. There will be celebrations in Chinatown and across Chicago today. If you are are born during the year of the horse, you are considered energetic, fast-paced, and love freedom, and are independent. The last year of the horse was in 2014. Chinatown's Lunar New Year parade will be Sunday, March 1st. All right, here's some really great news. Our friend Natalie is celebrating the birth of her new baby boy this morning. Everyone meet Axel Edward. He was born early Monday morning. Natalie's doing great. Sister Olive is doing great. Look at how she's glowing.
Glowing.
Husband Ed is doing great. Everyone is amazing, and we just welcome him to the world, don't we? Caitlin, can you just
Caitlin,
look at
can't
his
even contain
face?
herself.
Look at his lips.
I can't. Literally, I'm tearing up looking at this child.
So beautiful.
Natalie sent me a video this morning of Axel, and he was dreaming, and his little mouth. I was like, oh, he's got Natalie's mouth. He is totally. He's the most beautiful baby I've ever seen. The most beautiful baby I have ever seen. Natalie, oh my goodness. All right, don't get me started. I'm like squealing. People are probably blocking their ears. Let's talk about the weather. Today, it is going to be another nice day, slightly cooler than we were yesterday, but we're climbing into the 50s this afternoon. Right now, it's mostly cloudy, which, by the way, it is going to continue to be mostly cloudy throughout the day today. Also a little bit gusty, but temperatures. 45 degrees at the lakefront, 45 in Gary, 44 at Midway, 42 at O'Hare, 38 in Aurora. Temperatures, they feel pretty good this morning, even though we are going to be cooler than we were yesterday. As mentioned, the 50s, not bad. This is your afternoon. 56 at O'Hare, 58 at Midway. Upper 40s perhaps holding on there at the lakefront, 46 in Waukegan, but inland locations, southwestern counties, you could be climbing into the low 60s. Wind speeds, I mentioned how it is going to be a little bit gusty. Well, right now we're seeing gusts around 5 to 10 miles per hour, so it's still calm. But over the next 48 hours, you're really going to feel that wind pick up. Let's take a look as we get into tonight. 25 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts. And then tomorrow, how about almost 40 mile per hour winds? Now, here's the thing. Tonight, we have the chance for some rain and even a rumble of thunder or two. But tomorrow, we're clearing out. Temperatures climbing back into the 60s for your Wednesday. But it is going to be a windy day. So tomorrow, we encourage you not to burn anything outside. There is a fire hazard. Temperatures will be tumbling, especially as we get into the weekend. I'll show you that on your full 70 forecast ahead. It's 8:38. We have so much more coming up. Stay with us.
8:41, welcome back. We have just been getting an outpouring of reaction of the death of Reverend Jesse Jackson all morning.
Yes, Alderman William Hall joins us this morning now via Zoom to share some reflections. Alderman Hall, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it, sir.
Well, thank you so much. Such a heavy morning in Chicago and all across the world. And for this moment to be given to me, again, thank you all so much.
No problem. Thank you. And I want to start off by asking, you worked side by side with Reverend Jackson. You were field director at Rainbow Push for several years. What can you share this morning with our viewers about what it was like to work with him, and perhaps share some reflections on what maybe we didn't see with his public-facing persona?
Yeah, what it was like was simply a defining moment in my life that I'll never forget. I never witnessed a man who, no matter what time zone we were in, number one, checked on his family. Whenever we landed, that was my responsibility to make sure that he called his wife. He would stop things literally in the airport. Will, get my wife on the phone. His heart was literally in the hands of his wife. He loved his wife. He loved his children. Always looking for ways to sharpen their instincts, that being his sons and his daughters. His daughter, Santita, there was never a stage that Reverend Jackson did not want her voice to be heard on. Witnessing his daughter get her doctorate at Michigan State, Jackie. I mean, the family is just one of the most iconic families, publicly but privately, compassionate, generous people. And I never forget one moment serving with Reverend. It was a difficult moment in which there were those in the city we went to that didn't want him there. And literally on the way back to the airport, I said, Reverend, how do you handle those who are just mean-spirited and just don't like you? We didn't, do anything, came to serve and help on their invitation. And he said to me, he said, Will, it's not what they say about you, it's what you do that they remember. And it was always that motivation that I saw in his eyes to leave a lasting moment of serving someone in need. And whether it was a king that I met in Morocco, or it was a mother who was saying goodbye to her child in the casket, Reverend was there. And showing up is what made him meaningful to all of us, because he showed up when you least expected. He showed up in spaces that people did not want to show up at. And I love him dearly. And like I said, his work ethic was unmatched. Reverend, as young as I was when I was working with Reverend made me look lazy and tired. I mean, I didn't understand how he did it. And even in the latter years of his life with the challenges he faced, he's still literally living sacrifice, put everything he had on the line for the betterment of somebody else.
Wow. And that was actually my next question, because even after his diagnosis, he was still out there. He was still pushing. Yeah. We know that it didn't stop him, and he didn't want that diagnosis to stop him. Does that surprise you at all, just knowing the person he is, that he kept on going, kept on pushing?
No, I mean, I remember when the doctor looked him in the face and said, Reverend, you're going to have to slow down. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. And, Reverend kindly told the doctor that, I have a calling and I'm going to take care of myself, but I have a calling on my life. And, Reverend pushed his body to the limits. And, he used to always say to me, the ground is no place for a champion, and the ground won't be able to hold him, because his vision for humanity was divine. His son, Jonathan, our congressman, said it earlier. He was a servant. He was a minister. And that's what he lived. He lived the Bible. He preached the Bible. He taught the Bible. And beyond every recognition that he will, go down in history as having, from presidential medals of freedoms to, awards and recognitions, the one thing that we will never forget is that he believed in Jesus, and he preached the gospel through his day-to-day living. And I never met a man who made the Bible come to life like Reverend Jackson and my own father. And so, he lived out the expectations of Scripture. And as a result of that, it put him in rooms that, changed, again, lives of those who were hostages. It put him in the rooms where, negotiations needed to take place. And, one of the things I will say is that Reverend Jackson told me and showed me that it doesn't matter who gets the credit as long as it gets done. And more can get done if we don't focus on who gets the credit. And I've seen Reverend Jackson, look kids in the face who didn't have money to go back to school and make a call. It didn't make the front pages of the Sun-Times or the Tribune, but that child got a chance to go back to school and get their degree. countless things done by Reverend Jackson that, never made it to the newspapers because it was about the gospel for him. It was about making sure that somebody knew that God is real. And he wasn't God, believe that, but he showed what love looked like from God.
Now, we heard from Father Michael Pfleger a short time ago. Saquon had interviewed him, and Pfleger said that the best way that folks can honor his legacy is to continue to fight for the same causes that were close to Reverend Jackson's heart. Will, can you speak on the void that this is going to leave, and how, in terms of leadership, and how that void gets filled?
Well, I remember, like yesterday, it was a Sunday, Reverend called me. He said, "Buddy, come over." And I came over to his house, and we was eating.
Extracted, all new Monday.
Because I'll always fight for you.
Bob's Discount Furniture.
Chamberlain University.
Krishnamurthy, and I approve this message.
Got junk. Chicago Report debate.
So many contests, so many decisions that voters in Illinois and the Chicago area have to make. I'm going to talk and ask questions to all these candidates. It's all about illuminating who they are and what they stand for so you know what to do when you go to the polls.
The Chicago Report debate series continues tonight at 6. Best medicine is absolutely perfect.
What's it like being a doctor report when?
It's like living in a town of 5-year-olds.
Best medicine is all new tonight on Fox.
8:52, welcome back. All right, we know this. Jake always knows how to find a party.
Yeah. It's like a magnet. He's attracted to these celebrations.
And he goes crazy.
Oh, yeah. No. He's out celebrating Mardi Gras in Wicker Park this morning. Jake, take it away. What are you seeing out there, sir?
I'm seeing a lot of fun to be had all day long, guys. Listen, happy Mardi Gras, happy Fat Tuesday. If you can't make it out to New Orleans today, that's okay. Look no further than Wicker Park. We're out here, Ina May Tavern. They are recreating the entire Mardi Gras experience, whether it's a card reading. This is Amber. We're going to be chatting with her a little bit later on Good Day Chicago. But they also, guys, it's such a TV cliche to often say, oh, I wish you could smell the food at home. But let me tell you, when that food is brought to you by someone actually from New Orleans, you know you're doing something right. This is Brian Jupiter, Chef Brian Jupiter, the executive chef and co-owner. Brian, you are my new favorite person this morning. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Happy Mardi Gras.
Happy Mardi Gras to you, sir. You know, like I said, there's often this reporter thing that we do where we go, oh, we wish you could smell the food. But man, I wish you could smell the food at home. I mean, I feel like if you're signing off on the food, a guy from New Orleans, that must mean it's pretty authentic, right?
It smells like New Orleans in here.
It does smell like New Orleans in here.
Yeah, that's the best thing about it. And so we celebrate the spirit of New Orleans all year long at Ina May Tavern. But today is the day that we blow it all the way out.
Honestly, I can see it just from the food. Really quick, we're going to go this way to that way. Tell us what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so we have some po' boys. So this is our Nashville grilled chicken po' boy, which is very popular here. We have our fried chicken with some gumbo and our famous biscuits. Fried catfish po' boys. You can do fried shrimp, blackened shrimp. We have a whole plethora of po' boys offered. And our Creole pasta, which is one of the fan favorites on the menu as well. And so come in, and you're going to leave here thinking that you just walked off of Bourbon Street.
And honestly, that's very true, because as soon as we walked in addition to the food, which looks amazing, which smells amazing, I mean, just the vibes in here. You walk in here, and if you kind of squint and blur everything going on outside, it does really feel like you're on Bourbon Street. You guys did a really great job. How important is it to not just create New Orleans and create Mardi Gras through the taste of the food, but also just the vibes inside Ina May?
Yeah, you know, it's all about the real experience, you know, and when we have some people who are native New Orleans people come through and they're like, you just brought me back home.
Is that the ultimate sign-off?
Oh, yeah, that's the ultimate sign-off right there.
All right, well, we're out here. You guys are doing a lot of other things. You're going to have a brass band, some live music, maybe a little bit of a burlesque show. I mean, listen, 365 days a year is a good time to come out here, but today just feels like it's going to be a little bit more special than every other day.
Oh, yeah, today is definitely more festive, but like I said, we celebrate it all year long.
Now, listen, I know it's going to be very busy. You guys are going to have people coming in, probably sitting down having a great time. Am I too early to go ahead and call dibs and grab one of the tables?
Look, I suggest you call dibs now.
I'm going to do it.
Later might be too late.
All right, guys, we're here with Brian Jupiter. Listen, as great as this food is, you're going to want to get maybe a card reading, which we're going to tell you about in the next hour. Amber's out here every Thursday doing free card readings. But then also, guys, listen, as great as this food is, you know, the Mardi Gras experience, it wouldn't be complete with about, you know, just a little bit of alcohol, just a couple of libations. And we're going to talk with Mark in the next hour to learn about all of the drink specials they have going on out here. Listen, card readings, brass band, live music, burlesque show, food signed off by a chef from New Orleans. What more could you possibly want? Take a look at the ceilings. Look at the vibes out here. It is Ina May Tavern in Wicker Park, recreating the entire Mardi Gras experience. Don't worry. If you can't make it out to New Orleans, you don't need to. You just need to come out to Wicker Park. But for now, Jake Hamilton, we're going to go to break. We'll see you in the next hour right here on Good Day Chicago.
you.